From the warlords of ancient dynasties to a modern army of 2 million soldiers, from fighting monks to a billion-dollar entertainment industry, Kung Fu is one of the most popular and deadly martial arts on the planet.
We're here in China to explore the roots of this ancient warrior art. We'll train with revered monks at the most sacred site in martial arts and go toe-to-toe with some hardcore fighters from the world's largest army. Then, one of us will square off in a real fight against a real Kung Fu champion.
There are hundreds of distinct fighting styles in the world. They are practiced in every nation and by every people. Now, Jason Chambers, a mixed martial artist and professional fighter, and Bill Duff, a former pro football player and wrestler, are embarked on a mission to explore the history and techniques of these incredible martial arts. And at the end of each journey, one of these two warriors will face the ultimate test. They'll try to survive a real fight with a true human weapon.
Covering over 3.5 million square miles and home to 1.3 billion people, China is the birthplace of Kung Fu. The term Kung Fu originally referred to any great achievement or skill, such as painting or calligraphy. But nowadays, Kung Fu refers to any of the nearly 400 martial arts styles that are practiced here.
We're in Beijing, the capital of modern China. With a population of 15 million citizens, Beijing is also home to 250,000 Kung Fu practitioners.
Sounds like someone's about to be executed. Single leg takedown.
This is reminiscent of judo almost, huh, Bill?
Yep. Does it remind you of your judo fight?
It does a little bit. Kind of does. Gives me the freaking flyer mile feel again.
Yeah, something like the judo, but more fierce.
All Kung Fu can be broken down into two forms. There are the internal forms, like Tai Chi, in which the development of a fighter's spiritual energy, or Qi, is just as important as any punch or kick.
But for every internal form, Kung Fu's got an external, or fighting form, which is what we've come to see. There's Baji, a combat style popularized by a monk named Wu Zong, whose wicked skills with both empty hands and weapons earned him the nickname the Spear God.
You know, I wouldn't want to get taken down with the throat. Probably wouldn't be fun.
There's also Tong Bei. This striking art was developed in northern China centuries ago, and its kicks and punches are similar to the movements of indigenous animals.
These are a lot more like the techniques that you see like in a Kung Fu movie. These guys are flying around and a little more acrobatic than the last group. There's a lot of wide movements that are kind of showy. And you have the grappling aspects to it. This I understand. This is stuff that you see in the Jet Li flicks.
Only difference, this is instant. It's, you know, impromptu.
There's even Bagua. With its quick strikes and circular footwork, this form draws its inspiration from the Chinese book of divination, the I Ching.
But no style of Kung Fu is as brutal as Sanda. A highly refined version of a centuries-old system, Sanda combines each of Kung Fu's 4 combat elements: the Ti, or kick, the Da, or punch, the Shui, wrestling, and Na, takedowns. Today, it's the fighting style of the Chinese Red Army, taught to each of its 2 million soldiers. These Sanda students train under Master Qin Chao. A 3-time All-China Sandao champion, Master Chao has trained some of China's most awesome martial artists.
Do you like Sanda?
Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, I like the fact that you have the boxing and the kickboxing and the takedowns, and that's something that's really comfortable for me.
Master Chao had a challenge for us.
Is that if you really like stand-up, so you need to begin with the traditional Chinese Kung Fu, then you come back to learn the stand-up. In this way, your skill will be improved quickly.
Do you have somebody to kick our butts?
Okay.
Okay.
Now he speaks English. We'll see you
At
soon.
the end of our journey, Master Chen Chao wants us to take on one of the rising stars of Kung Fu in a full-on stand-off fight. The fighter's name is Yan DeLong.
Never trust the guy who's smiling asking you if you want to fight. Well, we look forward to having your students break bones of ours, and we got some Kung Fu training to do.
Fun and games aside, we had some serious training to do if we were to stand a chance against Yan.
And believe it or not, the best place in Beijing to track down Kung Fu masters is at Beiputua Movie Studios. Having cranked out more than 800 films since its inception, Beiputua employs hundreds of China's best fighters. Kung Fu films have been part of Chinese culture since Burning of the Red Lotus Temple premiered in 1928. Although it wasn't until Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon in 1973 that Kung Fu gained real traction with Western audiences. Today, everyone from Jackie Chan to Jet Li has taken a starring turn in a Beiputua movie.
But it's the high-flying techniques, not the star power, that make Beiputua so impressive. It's called wire fu, and with a combination of wires, harnesses, and special effects, it allows fighters to leap from tall buildings, dodge bullets, and stand still in midair. The plot of these films may not be all that realistic, but wire fu moves are actually based on centuries-old Kung Fu techniques.
So we meet up with Yangchong Yu, Beiputua's action choreographer and resident wire fu expert. Yu could teach us a move that could be used not only in a Kung Fu movie, but also in our fight against Yan. It's a long-range kick derived from Ti, Kung Fu's main kick strike system. To execute the kick, the fighter first uses his left leg to deflect the opponent's strike. While the left leg is still in midair, the right leg is kicked outward at your opponent's chest. So even without a wire, you're airborne when you deliver the strike.
The move is difficult but devastating. There's no opposing object to push against, so all the energy of the move must come from the momentum of the leap and the acceleration of the kick. The snapping motion of the lower leg functions much like a coiled spring. When unleashed, the kick reaches impact speeds of 20 miles per hour and delivers up to 400 pounds of force to the opponent's chest.
That's your traditional Kung Fu kick, and whether on a wire or on the mat, no matter where you're at, you can use it.
Yangchong Yu was happy with our progress on the ground, so it was time to try out the move wired up. And whether it's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or The Matrix, whenever an action hero floats across the screen to deliver a wicked kick to the bad guy's face, it's wires like these and a few human counterweights that are holding him up.
He says, 15 years ago when he first started in the business, there wasn't any post-production where they could erase, the wires. So they had to use something that was even thinner. But nowadays, they can afford to use thicker wire, and they can even use mountain climbing rope, and they can still get rid of it in post-production. So it's a lot safer than when he started.
This rope is the same rope they use to attach the parachutes to the planes to slow them down. So
if you can slow down a plane, it can slow down a duck.
it's really cool to be doing what you see in the movies. You see Jackie Chan and Jet Li do these things. You're like, wow, I'd love to try that. Even though it's movie magic, you would do this same kick that kicks someone in the face in a real Kung Fu play.
Just a waistband.
Then it was my turn to get strapped in.
I tell you what, you can't breathe. Tight, 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 tight. Every region of my body is searching for where that blood went because it's all cut off.
Just think, if it messes up, you'll never know.
That's right. Close three, action!
The physics of doing the wire fu move while suspended in air are tricky. With no ground to stabilize you, even the slightest turn or twist can throw you off course.
I improvised.
他如果说撤步的时候这样，然后他又拧腰。
Yeah, he says the reason you swung around is because when you made that kick, what you need to do is you turn out your upper body and make an actual swing and a follow through, so your momentum will carry your right leg.
Okay.
Once I started rotating my torso and following through on my kicks, I got the hang of it. So Yang and his crew upped the ante.
That was fun. That's fun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You watch out. I'm coming for you, Jackie Chan.
But we were still miles away from being ready to take on a real kung fu fighter.
The next stop on our journey would take us to the largest man-made structure on Earth. Just 30 miles northwest of Beijing is the town of Zhejiangguan and the Great Wall of China. Stretching over 4,000 miles, the wall was constructed over 20 centuries by millions of men.
Although some sections of it date from 500 BC, much of the Great Wall was constructed during the Ming Dynasty as a way to fend off the Mongol and Manchurian raiders from the north. And the section near Zhejiangguan was key to the defense of the capital. A breach of the wall here would leave Beijing exposed, so the men who stood guard were some of the empire's toughest soldiers and most feared kung fu masters.
Today, the town is home to Master Wang Zhipeng. Master Wang is a disciple of the revered master Wang Shunling. Ling also worked extensively with Bruce Lee during Lee's formative years. And it's the skills that Ling taught him that made Lee arguably the greatest martial artist of his time or any other.
The style is called Wing Chun. Master Wang's Wing Chun is built around the concept of efficient, close-quarter combat. Tight, coordinated movements are used to reduce the distance between you and your opponent. From there, a series of knees, elbows, or rapid-fire punches are used to injure and even kill. There's no wasted motion. Because of its close-quarter nature and its efficiency, Wing Chun has been adopted in the West in many women's self-defense systems, which wasn't surprising when we learned how Wing Chun came to be.
In the Qing Dynasty, a woman started the style of Kung Fu to protect herself.
In the 18th century, a local warlord tried to force a woman named Yin Wing Chun to marry him. But Wing Chun struck a deal. If she could beat the warlord in a fight, she could have her freedom. Wing Chun trained in a rapid-fire style suited to quick, diminutive fighters. Her hard work paid off. She won the fight, and the art of Wing Chun was born.
Whether you're male or female, the core strike in any Wing Chun attack is the straight Wing Chun punch.
Just a straight punch, just here.
It's the shortest distance between you and your opponent.
To execute the Wing Chun punch, the fighter quickly moves inside his opponent's punching range.
Good.
With his hands in front of his chest and his elbows tucked in, the fighter quickly rotates and extends his fist.
Punch along the arm. Then try and get your hand back above your elbow.
The punch is then repeated, as needed, until your opponent bites the dust.
I feel like the breeze whizzing by my face. That's cool.
And according to Master Wang, the more relaxed a fighter is, the more punches he can throw.
Relax. Relax your arms.
It's so hard to relax and think about punching somebody. It's not an easy concept.
But Wing Chun doesn't just rely on speed. It uses power too.
He's excited. Oh yeah, that sucks. And even through a pad from, this far away, you feel a lot of power.
The key to this synergy of speed and power is punch technique, punch location, and punch frequency. With your elbows tucked in behind your fist, the energy of each punch is maximized. And because the punch is delivered to your opponent's core along a center line, the more directly that force is transmitted to his body. The effect is similar to that of continually slamming a battering ram against a door. No matter how strong, it can only sustain so many blows before it collapses.
Tell you what, this punch is very difficult. Staying in that motion and always realizing that he can hit you back.
The more you practice, the better you become at anticipating your opponent's next strike.
So all these are basically different moves to create hand sensitivity, which comes into play no matter what you're doing.
Practice for long enough, and you don't even need to see your opponent to strike him. Blindfolded, Master Wong demonstrated the combination of speed and power that lies at the heart of Wing Chun.
Okay. See, that's for real. If you break your training partners, you don't have anyone to play with.
But Master Wong explained he was actually taking it easy on his sparring partner. At full force, that punch would have broken this guy's ribs.
He was fluid just as fast, and he saw his openings, and he was kicking his butt blindfolded.
Yeah, and he hit him right in the solar plexus, and we got to see him puke over the Great Wall of China.
But one punch, no matter how devastating, wouldn't be enough to survive a fight. So we headed south to Kaifeng Park on the Yellow River to witness law enforcement, Kung Fu style. Founded in 1983 as a subdivision of the People's Liberation Army, the People's Armed Police number more than 600,000 men. Duties include everything from crowd control to tactical counterterrorism missions. The style of Kung Fu they learn is simply called Police Kung Fu, and it's a close cousin of the Sanda style our opponent Yan excels in.
This guy will practice some kinds of kicking for you.
This is the rear leg front kick. Officers are trained to use this kick in hijacking situations when firearms can't be used. It's a vital part of every PAP officer's training, and judging from the looks of it, not something you want to be on the receiving end of. To execute the rear leg front kick, the back leg is brought forward, lifting the knee. Then the lower leg is quickly extended, making contact with the opponent's neck or chin. The striking leg is retracted to its original position like the snapping of a rubber band, allowing the fighter to repeat the move.
This kick is all about speed. The further the foot travels, the greater its acceleration, and the more dangerous a weapon it becomes. Powered by the muscles of the hip flexor and the quadriceps, by the time your foot reaches your opponent's throat, it's traveling nearly 40 miles per hour. That type of speed yields over 1,000 pounds of force, enough to puncture the Adam's apple and crush your windpipe.
You know, this is a really good kick because I can use my size and power and my huge legs to push the guy off and get back to my fighting stance.
I may not have the power of Bill, but what I can bring to this move is speed.
See, what I like about this is that it's powerful, fast, and accurate.
This kick was worth adding to our repertoire, but we still had a lot to learn and not much time to learn it. The next stop on our journey would take us to one of the largest martial arts schools in the world to learn the deadliest Kung Fu style of them all. With just days remaining before our fight, we've come here, to the town of Dangfeng. Dangfeng is situated at the base of Mount Sung, which is considered one of China's 5 sacred mountains. Venerated by Taoist pilgrims for centuries, they believe these mountains originally formed the limbs and head of Pan Go, the creator of the world.
Dangfeng is a small town, but it has over 50 Kung Fu schools, teaching more than 50,000 martial arts students. This is the capital of Kung Fu. We're here to train with Master Ma Feng, a former all-China Kung Fu champion. 20 of Master Feng's students have gone on to become national Kung Fu champs themselves. Today, Master Feng's going to teach us the most modern and the most brutal style in all of Kung Fu, Sanda. A style that incorporates kicks, strikes, chokes, and takedowns. Sanda is the ultimate evolution of Kung Fu. It's an evolution rooted in the bloody history of modern China.
At the dawn of the 20th century, peasant rebels engaged in a series of conflicts designed to drive out foreign colonialists and unseat the reigning Qing dynasty. To fight their better armed opponents, the rebels added violent strangleholds, kicks to the face, and throat punches to their traditional kung fu. With the help of these new techniques, the rebels eventually toppled the Qing dynasty, and the art of Sanda was born. A quarter century later, the Chinese Nationalist Army used these same skills to ward off the Japanese in the Second Sino-Japanese War. Today, Sanda is China's #1 combat sport. And it's the style we'll be using in our final bout with Yan Delong.
Wow, that was really intense training. Why do they scream like that?
少林功夫嘛，不管他历练一口气啊，干啥子的，那很爽啊。
They can make the movements very strong, very powerful.
The screaming is actually a method of managing your air intake. It's similar to the focused, often audible breathing you hear out of Olympic sprinters or weightlifters when they need that extra power boost. And to get a feel for that power, Master Feng showed us a powerful Sanda kick strike, the high roundhouse.
Has he ever knocked anybody out with this?
他说你能不能用这？你曾经用这样的方吗？
知道过。
Yes, many times.
Many times?
Many times.
Wow.
The knee should be up, kick. The toe should be straight.
Having worked on kicks with the PAP, we thought this high roundhouse would be easy. But our kicks were too low and too slow for a Sanda fight. So instead, Master Feng showed us a move essential to winning any Sanda fight, the takedown.
Nice.
You're getting the bad end of this deal, buddy.
If we didn't use this move on Yan, he was going to use it on us. And something told me we wouldn't be springing back up like these guys.
Oh, he's right up.
Who are these people?
Like the sweep we learned with the Marines, the Sanda takedown begins as a defense against a roundhouse.
So the move itself is pretty basic, Jason. It's just the kick coming in, and he's catching it because you got a glove on, you can't grab. So you got to catch here.
As your opponent launches the kick, you step in and grab the leg, trapping it between your forearm and torso. With your opponent's entire body weight now supported by his back leg, you step forward, forcing him slightly off balance. From that point, a simple sweep above his heel can break your opponent's center of balance entirely and bring him to the ground.
The power of the takedown is derived from the simple mechanical advantage you hold over your opponent. By wrapping up his striking leg at the upper thigh, you've placed your opponent in what's called conditional stability. If he remains stationary, he could technically maintain his balance indefinitely. But by driving him backward and initiating a sweep of his other leg, you've added two destabilizing factors, and the loose center of gravity simply cannot hold.
Sanda fighters are unbelievably fast. And for this technique, the greater the speed, the greater the power. And the pain.
This is a lot different compared to your actual kickboxing match or boxing match. Sanda is really violent. A lot of the kung fu elements we've learned really play into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? No matter how you take your opponent down, I'm learning they all hurt.
We were beginning to see just how hardcore Sanda is, and why the Chinese Red Army had chosen it as the kung fu style to protect a billion people.
You got boxing, you got Muay Thai kicks, you got wrestling. You score points on all of it, and there's a lot of knockouts. This is hardcore, this is full contact. This is tough.
As we trained under Master Feng, we definitely sensed our skills improving. But time was running out.
Before our ultimate challenge, we would journey to the birthplace of Kung Fu to meet the men of peace who were also some of the world's most awesome warriors. Fighting monks who had achieved every fighter's dream: total resistance to pain.
We've trained with some of Kung Fu's greatest masters. But now we've come to the most famous site in martial arts history to fuse our physical training with some hardcore mental workouts. This is the Shaolin Temple. Located in the Hunan province in eastern China, the Shaolin Temple was founded in the 5th century AD by the Buddhist monk Baotuo.
Home to more than 70 monks, aspiring holy men begin their training at the temple as young as the age of 5. The temple is presided over by Shi Yang-sin. He's one of the most respected Buddhist leaders in the world, and he runs one of the most important martial arts schools in history. One that emphasizes the inner spiritual forms of Kung Fu as much as the outer fighting forms. Shi Yang-sin tells us that the original Shaolin monks were strictly thinkers, not fighters. And they often found themselves at the mercy of local bandits who were after the temple's treasures.
That all changed in the 6th century with the arrival of an Indian monk named Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma taught the Shaolin monks how to balance their inner spiritual life with some good old-fashioned martial arts training. And he taught them how to use martial arts to ward off the bandits. But that was just the beginning of the temple's ancient fighting lineage. In the centuries that followed, 5 different dynasties fought for dominance of this vast country.
As empires fell and allegiances changed, the Shaolin Temple served as a sanctuary to fighters on all sides. The diversity of styles that were represented by these fugitives made the temple the most important site in China for the development of new mental and physical Kung Fu techniques.
I thought my 15 years of martial arts training was impressive, but with 15 centuries of martial arts history everywhere we looked, the Shaolin Temple was awe-inspiring. Just the place to immerse ourselves in Kung Fu before the big fight. But if we wanted to train like monks, we first had to look like monks. These robes symbolize the purity of the monk's dedication to Buddha and to Kung Fu. But we weren't just given the costume. We were also given the weapons.
Thank you.
Weapons training has been an essential part of Kung Fu since Bodhidharma's arrival. The earliest weapons were simple but deadly. And the oldest of them is the Shaolin staff, or gun. We'd worked with sticks before in our eskrima training in the Philippines. But the Shaolin staff is 3 times as long as an eskrima baston, and 3 times as difficult to handle.
What's this?
Groin. Groin.
Groin, yeah. You think about a groin someone? Go!
Grabbing it and going down. Swipe. Go. I wonder if any of this translates into empty hand.
I think so. It's visualization, it's technique. You meditate during the fight, and you only think about one thing.
Hitting your opponent in the groin.
That's right.
Other Shaolin training techniques were about getting inside your opponent's head, like working with the 9-ringed saber, or guandao. Monks first used the guandao in the 8th century to cut off the legs of their opponent's horses. The 9 steel rings attached to the blade were designed to produce a rattling, ghost-like sound that was said to have terrified the monks' enemies.
This could slice and dice a whale. So you're using your foot to kick it up? Got it? Kick and then downward cut up. Blade facing up.
Blade facing.
I'm gonna stand away from you, buddy.
1. Okay. Man, that feels good. Feels powerful.
Oh, see, my Kung Fu is strong.
But the heart of the monk's training is the empty hand techniques Bodhidharma brought to the temple in the 6th century. The techniques are rooted in what he called animal styles. And they required the monks to be as much students of nature as they are martial arts.
There's the eagle style, which demands a fighter envision himself a bird of prey, swooping in for strikes to the eyes and throat. The snake, which is based on a philosophy of circular movements and quick strikes. And the praying mantis, which requires a fighter to keep his hands in a hook formation, mimicking the killer instincts of one of Mother Nature's most menacing creations.
But my favorite animal style is the tiger. This fast and efficient system is based on the tiger's pouncing movement. And fighters use a unique claw hand formation that concentrates all the power of the fist into the opponent's vital points.
With this tiger technique in Kung Fu, they actually hit the vital points and then they rip to make that pain even more intense. So instead of this or this, they actually take their fingers and come in. You feel that, Jason?
Feel it, Bill.
Other than their connection to the natural world, Bodhidharma's animal styles have something else in common. It's called Qi. Literally meaning life force, Qi is the energy within every individual. Bodhidharma taught the Shaolin monks that they can harness this energy through intense physical workouts.
That's why it's called 2 Finger Zen right there.
And meditative breathing exercises. This helps them arrive at a supreme mental state, a state where they feel no pain and have superhuman strength.
To find our own Qi, we had to prepare our bodies and minds for enlightenment. For the next several hours, we honed our Kung Fu forms, both external and internal, while balancing on river rocks.
1,
We pounded wooden pillars
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
and punched through bags of beans. Training with the monks was not easy. But as we absorbed the pain, we felt our minds slowly opening.
The trick is, don't think about your legs. Concentrate on your Qi and lose all conscious thought.
This isn't just some ancient hocus pocus either. Modern medical research has proven that the meditative powers of Qi can lower the chemical byproducts of stress and pain and induce favorable, pain-free brainwaves. And the monks proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt with an exercise that involved one seriously focused monk and one seriously heavy metal bar.
That is cool.
I totally was waiting for him to just put it on his head and bend it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that's cool, he's gonna bend some iron. However, he broke some metal. And this isn't like, it's thin, but this is heavy.
And that was just the beginning. Next, the monks showed us a jaw-dropping training technique that demonstrated just how much pain a fighter can withstand in the proper mental and physical state.
Wow, there's only 4 spears, dude.
That looks really painful.
Yeah, wow.
The position of the spears serves to support the monk and evenly displace his weight. But only a monk with years of training could withstand that much pain for that long. It's a perfect example of how the monks use Qi to align both their external and internal Kung Fu forms and accomplish feats most martial artists would deem impossible.
But no example of the power of Qi resonated quite like the story the monks told us next. In the 7th century, a battle broke out between the Tang and Sui dynasties. The Sui army had the upper hand until a Tang general who was a friend of the temple asked the monks for help. Using the techniques they had honed for centuries and the power of Qi handed down to them by Bodhidharma, just 13 Shaolin monks defeated the entire Sui army. Overnight, Kung Fu became the most respected fighting form in Asia, and the legend of Shaolin was born.
Working with weapons, practicing animal styles, and harnessing the power of qi. The Shaolin monks had helped us complete both our physical and spiritual kung fu training.
But our strengthened bodies and enlightened spirits were about to be put to the test. Time to fight, whether we were ready or not. Our final destination was the Shaolin Warrior School, not far from the Shaolin Temple. The Shaolin Warrior School is the Princeton of Kung Fu academies. It takes on only the best Kung Fu fighters from across China, and for the equivalent of $800 a year, these students are given board and lodging and are honed into fighting machines. Machines like our opponent, 3-time Sanda Championship finalist Yan Delong.
After 8 years of kung fu training, including 4 years of Sanda, the Warrior School had singled out Yan as one of the most promising kung fu fighters of his generation.
How does he feel about fighting one of us?
So very excited. First time to fight against the foreigner.
Well, we'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, he's only 18, but I'll tell you what, he's definitely confident about fighting.
Yeah, and it didn't matter if he was fighting Bill or me.
And we were confident that the training we'd received from Kung Fu's greatest living masters had prepared us for the bout. But before we could get it on, there was an ancient Chinese tradition we had to honor.
So today, the master is going to serve you some tea to make you be released and be relaxed for your nice competition.
Serving green tea before a fight is a ritual that dates back hundreds of years. The monks believed both the action of making the tea and its calming aroma helped to focus a fighter's mind and center his qi. Green tea is rich in resveratrol, a naturally occurring antibiotic that many researchers believe keeps the metabolism functioning at optimum levels. I don't know if it was the tea or not, but I was beginning to feel like a full-fledged warrior.
You can feel the combination of meditation and tea drinking.
I'm gonna start drinking tea before all my fights.
After finishing our tea, it was time to decide which one of us would take on Yan. I definitely had the size advantage, but our Kung Fu training had proven Jason's technique was superior to mine.
So I think it's a go.
The padding is essential. And since the Sanda death matches of the 1920s, every sanctioned bout has demanded it.
This is my bulletproof vest.
What's your strategy here?
He's gonna use a lot of kicks. I'm taller than him. I'll have a little bit of reach on him, but my guess is I'm gonna do a lot of shooting and a lot of getting inside.
The fight is scheduled to go for 5 one-minute rounds, unless there's a knockout. Strikes and kicks would be worth 1 or 2 points depending on their effectiveness. Standing takedowns are worth 2 points. The judging would be left in the hands of some of the school's finest Kung Fu masters.
Making my chi go to my fist.
And what a welcome it was. Over 2,000 of the Warrior School's finest were there to watch the fight, and I wasn't exactly the hometown favorite.
Why do we always gotta fight champions? Why can't we fight a guy who's had 4 days of training? Jeez.
Amitabha, Buddha bless you to success.
Thank you.
You ready, buddy?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
My strategy from the get-go was simple. Take him down before he could start to lay into me. With the first 2 points to me, my confidence was up. I tried the Sandow takedown we learned in Deng Feng.
Nice. You deserve it, buddy. Jab, jab. 10 seconds. 1 minute.
But I wasn't prepared for what came next.
Oh.
In an MMA octagon, this would have been no big deal. But in Sanda, it counts as a takedown. That one cost me 2 points. Round 1 was mine, but just barely.
I got a perfect standout sweep. You see it?
Yeah, it was nice. It was really good.
Perfect standout sweep.
Second round.
Jan opened the round with a barrage of kicks that scored big. Then, sensing an opening, I went in for the same sweep as before. That was a big mistake.
You got about 10, Jay, about 10. Go in, you need points. You need points.
Round 2 was Jan's.
All right, he won that round. You need to come out, keep your balance, and don't try to go underneath for the shot because he's scoring points on leg kicks. He scored 2 points on leg kicks, man. Work your stuff, work your jab, work your jab.
Round 3, and Jan opts to go for takedowns instead of strikes. But grappling is one of my strong suits, and my MMA reflexes quickly kicked in. With Jan off balance, I tried to take him to the edge. But he had other ideas. Going over with your opponent means no points for the takedown. Back on the mat, Jan followed it up with a perfect kick. Now I was in trouble.
With Jan now up 2-1, Jason had to take the next 2.
You have your hands, okay? Don't think kick, kick, kick. That's his game. Work your hands. I didn't see you throw a single hook. I haven't seen you throw a single straight right. Throw one down the pike and see how it feels, okay?
Taking Bill's advice, I lay into Jan with a series of punches that keeps Jan off balance and keeps me in control of the action. Near the end of the round, I work Jan to the edge of the mat, and this time I push him clean out. The round was mine. It's tied 2-2. It all comes down to this.
Work the whole minute. Work the whole minute, Jay.
But the moment the bell rang, things started to go bad. Jan's very first kick gets me in the throat and almost TKOs me.
All right?
Now I was playing some serious catch-up. I managed to land 2 takedowns, one that drove Jan off the mat. By the end of the round, I couldn't tell if I'd made up enough ground. The decision could go either way. It was in the judges' hands now. I lost the last round, 9-7. Just 2 points separated me from victory. I was disappointed, but I had to give Jan the credit he deserves.
His kung fu is strong and my kung fu no good here. That's why he's the champ. Got a couple of good sweeps in, but man, it was close. And luckily, experience paid off. Good job, buddy.
It turns out the feeling was mutual.
Yeah, very good, excellent.
Our journey through the world of Kung Fu had given us a whole new respect for the strength and dedication of these fighters. We trained with some of the greatest masters in the world and visited some of the most sacred sites in all of China.
More than 15 centuries after its birth, Kung Fu is still alive in this ancient land. And still one of the world's most deadly martial arts.